Hey folks, it's Enclaver here with another Elder Scrolls Online dungeon guide for you, Veteran Imperial City Prison. Let's start with the first boss, the Overfiend. This zombie on steroids, like I call it, is pretty easy boss. The skills used by the Overfiend are: Number 1. Flurry. This is heavy damage frontal corner attack that must be avoided by the healer and the damage dealers in your group. The easiest way to do this is just to stay on the back of the boss. Second skill that he uses is the Corruption Circle, or simply you can call it the Donut. This skill can be interrupted, so make sure your tank always takes care of it. If you get hit by the Donut, you get stunned for around 2 seconds and you take a lot of damage, so simply make sure you watch your feet. During the boss fight, ads are spawning from two sides, the portal and the prison cells. These ads must be killed as fast as possible, because they spawn constantly, and if they are not taken care of, they overwhelm you and that leads to party wipe. At around 40 to 45% of the Overfiend's health, a harvester spawns from the portal. This harvester must be prioritized and killed immediately. It's important at this stage the tank to interrupt the harvester's casts. Also, the other party members must watch out for the subjugation explosions on the ground. After the harvester is killed, the easy part comes, killing ads and finishing the boss. The second boss is called Ibomez, the Flesh Sculptor. What you need here is one of the damage dealers in your group to focus on throwing bombs at the appearing from the prison cells inmates. The healer in your group should cover one of the cells as well and kill inmates. The second damage dealer must focus on killing the spawning Atronax and the boss. The skills that you can expect from this boss are: Frontal Corner Attack, which always targets random party member. This skill must be either avoided or blocked. If you block it, you get damage over time effect for few seconds. It is important here the people who use the bombs to pay attention for this corner attack, because if the boss hits any bomb near a player, he is gonna instantly die. The second skill from Ibomez is called Tenderize. It drops you on the floor and immobilizes you for a few seconds. When this happens, it's important someone from the party, usually the tank, to interrupt the boss. If no one does it, the tenderized person simply dies. I advise you here to not waste your stamina in constant bashes. Wait few seconds, after you see the boss doing heavy attack, then bash. When the boss is at 25 to 30% health, and if there is no Atronac alive, if your group have enough DPS, just nuke the boss, ignoring everything else. The fight is a bit tricky, but all in all, it's really easy. Alright, we're now at the third boss, the Gravelight Sentry. He's a typical sentry monster, and as such you can expect the same skills: shooting lasers from his eyes, expanding pushing explosion, and randomly appearing mini explosions on the ground. There are also several necromancers around the boss, but I will tell more about them later. In this fight, I advise you always to stay behind the boss unless you are the tank. If you are in front of the boss, the risk of getting killed by the lasers is very high, so simply stay the fuck out of his way. The next thing that you must pay attention for is the big explosion from the Gravelight Sentry. This explosion pushes everyone away from the boss. Most of the times people end up in the poisonous waters surrounding the island on which you fight, so make sure you get out of them immediately. And now I will explain about the small explosions. Like I said at the beginning, they randomly appear on the ground, always targeting someone from the party. Priority here is to block them, or the other thing that can be done is to move out of them in time. If you don't block or avoid those explosions, you risk of getting stunned or even killed. So, back to the necromancers. They're the ones summoning kamikaze skeletons. One of the tactics here to avoid getting any skeleton is people to interrupt the casters with skills such as crushing shock or any other crowd control ability, and for last resort, bashing works too. The tactic for this boss is pretty simple. All you got to do is stack in the middle of the island, tank in front of the boss, heal and damage dealers always on the back, and simply nuke the Gravelight Sentry. Once he is dead, everyone should focus on killing the necromancers. I advise here to spread between the necromancers and always interrupt them before they summon skeletons. Our fourth boss encounter is with the Flesh Abomination. Even though he looks big and scary, don't worry, he is not as hard as he looks. There are few things you need to know about this fight. At the start, priority are the necrotic horrors. They drop poison circles on the ground every few seconds, and staying over any of them overdoses and kills you. You can notice also they spawn one by one over time, and they must be killed ASAP. Have in mind, every boss attack makes frontal area damage, so unless you are the tank, don't stay in front of the boss. Few times during the encounter, the boss will drop at one spot and start sucking off the ground. When this happens, everyone in the party should form a square around the boss and block the explosions which will appear under all party members. One of the people from the party will be surrounded by a donut. Under any circumstances, do not cross over this donut because it instantly kills. During this stage, zombies will be spawning, so make sure to deal fast with them. After the Flesh Abomination stops sucking off the ground, he will return to normal, and in 15 to 20 seconds he goes in the middle of the area where you fight and summons 4 kamikaze bugs. When this happens, make sure to run away from them because they explode, and kills everyone in range. After the kamikaze bugs, if the boss is not dead, everything repeats again until the end of the fight. Boss number 5, the Imperial Council. In this encounter, we are facing 4 bosses: Lord-Warden's Knight, Berserker, Necromancer and Templar. All of them have the typical skills as Dragon Knight, Nightblade, Templar and Necromancer caster. At the beginning, let the tank take aggro of everything and then split the 2 DDs in your group. One should attack the Templar and the other one, the Necromancer, until both bosses are at about 950,000 HP. The reason for this is to even the health of all 4 bosses. After this happens, simply start spamming Elemental Ring, Sub-Essence and everything else for AoE damage. During this fight, it's important everyone in the group to watch out for the Templar, because he often heals himself and the other 3 bosses. When he starts casting anything, simply bash him. The second thing you need to pay attention for is when the Necromancer runs away from the group and summons Bone Surge Totem. This totem shields the 4 bosses and reduces the damage they take by a lot. When this happens, give few seconds to the tank in your group to position all of the bosses around the totem, and then just kill it either by single target DPS or AoE. It is very important to try and kill all the bosses at the same time, because once a boss dies, he turns into shadow and becomes immune to taunts, yet it can still attack as before. So to make your fight easier, simply kill everything simultaneously. And we are finally at the last boss, Lord-Warden Dusk. First, I must say this fight includes a lot of RNG elements and it makes it really annoying. Even the most skilled groups sometimes struggle because of it, but no worries, this doesn't mean it's not doable. What you need to know about this fight is the Lord-Warden Dusk is constantly moving and it makes it hard for any melee DD. This is why ranged damage dealers are better for this encounter. During the fight, this boss will drop 2 light portals on the ground. They are in constant random movement and have in mind every portal have only capacity for 2 players. It is important that no one from the party enters them before the time comes. When you see the boss, take off in the air, this is the moment when everyone in the party must enter the portals immediately. Once this happens, everyone who goes through a portal gets teleported in the air. At that moment, a synergy will appear on your screen, and you simply must use it. If you don't use it, you will die from fall damage. If someone fails to enter a portal on time, he gets killed by the dark light, and if this means nothing to you, just imagine nuclear bomb explosion. The next thing you need to worry about is the small purple balls, which the boss will be dropping very often on the battlefield. These balls, if you are close to them, they do constantly increasing damage every second, and also they apply slow effect. Here I would advise to avoid fighting in the middle area, because if there are balls close to meet, when people are falling out of the portal in the air, they might get killed. Another thing to worry about is the meteors falling from the sky. They must be blocked or avoided. From this boss you can also expect machine gun-like attack in Rambo style. He targets a random person from the party and starts discharging dark light. When this happens, if you are not tank, make sure to get behind him, and in case there is no tank close by, the damage from this skill can be shared between the players, so just stack together and block. At 60 and 30% of Lord-Warden's health, he will turn into 4 shades. 3 of them are always immune to damage and only one can be attacked. The attackable shade is always corporeal, where the other 3 are transparent. This is the entire last boss fight, guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope this guide will help you with your adventures in Imperial City Prison.